Hey everybody, my name is Lewis. This is Man Bites Film. This is going to be a special episode of Man Bites Film because I'm actually going to be reviewing a director and his whole body of work. I'm going to focus on two films in particular of his work, but I am going to go over his film style is, etc., etc. So unfortunately, Brandon is not able to join me, and I did not have a guest for this week. So I'm gonna have special events like this for holidays like Christmas and New Year's. This time I'm doing my favorite director of all time, which of course everybody that has followed this show so far knows it's Stanley Kubrick. I love this man. So in the next segment I'm actually gonna be going over his life, and then we're gonna review two of his films. Alright, Stanley Kubrick. The man. All right, he was born in 1923 and died in 1999. His body of work featured films as Fear and Desire, The Killer's Kiss, The Killing, Paths of Glory, Spartacus, Lolita, Doctor Strangelove, 2001: Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, Eyes Wide Shut, and two films that he was never able to actually fully go into production with was Napoleon and Artificial Intelligence. Alright, I want to go into that first. The fact that he was not able to direct these two films. First of all, Napoleon, he had started production right after 2001: Space Odyssey in 1965. He went full scale into this. He actually spent 5 years researching this film, trying to fully come up with an amazing script to fully go into this historical figure's life. He wanted to go from beginning to end and basically do what he had done with Barry Lyndon, just analyze this person's life. It never took off because of a film called Waterloo Napoleon, and because of its failure at the box office. I mean, really bad, that the studios just completely said, nope, we're not doing it. We're not going to give a dime to another Napoleon film because of the last one. Not a chance. Not going to happen. So it always stayed on the back burner in his mind, at least according to his wife and other close friends of his, which he had very few, because again, the man was a complete eccentric. It stayed on the back burner, and it stayed on his mind when he actually filmed Barry Lyndon. And various directors tried to do Napoleon movies, and they completely failed. They've fallen through. Something's always happened. Sets burned down. Just crazy things. So the film just was cursed from the beginning. And then his other film that completely never got to be made by him was AI. AI was picked up by Steven Spielberg, as we all know, and it was Spielbergized, in my opinion. It had moments of Stanley Kubrick, the brilliant moments, and then aliens. Why do you do E.T. aliens in a Stanley Kubrick film? That does not work. The film is brilliant, and Stanley Kubrick's original intent was to follow the artificial intelligent gigolo instead of the little boy. But of course, Spielberg is, he does films for little kids and for mindless fucks out there, for a lack of a better term. And he completely bastardized the film, in my opinion. He did a good job. It was entertaining, like all of Steven Spielberg's films. All of them are entertaining, but not to the level of Stanley Kubrick. You could tell Kubrick's influence in there. He followed the shot list, but the film wasn't complete. And the wife had notes, but not a full script. So Spielberg obviously entered some of his things in there, and they were not Stanley Kubrick. So considering this part of his work, it's definitely not. Okay. Actually, this is really, really funny. I found this hilarious. Daniel Waters wanted Stanley Kubrick to direct Heathers. That would completely take a different take of Heathers. I would love to see that version. I would die to see that version of the film. Stanley Kubrick, let's go back into a little bit of history about him. He, as a child, he did not excel at school at all. He was a high D, low C student throughout all his career. He wasn't even able to get into the university. That's how bad it was for him. He was not book smart. He wasn't able to focus. He was rumored to have an IQ of 200. I wouldn't doubt that. You see it in his work. His work is so intelligent, but at the same time, he makes it accessible to any person by presenting facts that he learned throughout the film, which is very interesting, and it's a completely different take on film. Most filmmakers will not do that, and they refuse to take the time out in the film and do that, especially Spielberg. That's why I completely see Spielberg and Stanley Kubrick as complete opposites in directing. Spielberg, he explains everything down to a dummy point. He literally invented the filmmaking for dummies. That's you see Filmmaking for Dummies, that book, you could put a picture of Steven Spielberg in there, because that's what it is. Stanley Kubrick is not. Stanley Kubrick is advanced techniques of filmmaking and script writing and editing and everything, storytelling, general, period. He took filmmaking to a whole new level in Doctor Strangelove. Oh my God, the performance in that, with Peter Sellers doing 4 roles, and he was actually supposed to do 8 roles, but Stanley Kubrick said, let's do 4 roles. Let's stick to the 4 roles and do that. And oh my God, his performance is so amazing. His film, like that dark comedy, that just sets the level for comedies for everything to come. He released that film in '64, in the brink of the Cold War, right in the center of it, right when it was getting really bad. He released this dark comedy. That's like releasing a film about 9/11 and making it a comedy 4 or 5 years after 9/11 happened. That's not normal, but he did it, and it was successful, very successful. That film stands up today. It's very dated, but it stands up. Oh my God, I still laugh every time I watch that movie. Peter Sellers I love it. It's just fantastic film, and it's considered, in my book, is one of the top 10 best comedies of all time. 2001: Space Odyssey. Let's not even go there. 2001: Space Odyssey it's a classic. All right, Clockwork Orange is my favorite film of all time. Period. Clockwork Orange takes character analysis to a whole new level. This film on IMDb got an 8.4 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomato out of 90%. And it was released in 1971. The Gene Kelly scene that Malcolm McDowell did, the main character, he came up with that scene, the singing in the rain scene, all by himself. He just came to him at the moment. And it's funny because years later he actually ran into Gene Kelly, the one that originally wrote and did the film Singing in the Rain, and he was totally pissed off at Malcolm McDowell because of that scene and how it ruined his song. It's just hilarious in my opinion. That film was completely shot in natural light. The whole film was shot in natural light. That's mind-boggling. There was no sets built for that film. It was completely location shot. Okay? That's incredible. The scenes with the doctors were actual doctors because his eyes were actually being kept open like that. And at one point, he actually, Malcolm McDowell scratched his eyeball and was left blind for a while. You don't see actors do that. You would have gotten sued. The whole film would have fallen apart. Malcolm McDowell just continued filming. He continued filming. And Stanley Kubrick, I mean, come on, the guy gets such masterful shots. That scene with the bum, the opening scene, the final scene, which, by the way, was it took 74 takes to get the final scene of that. All right, just Clockwork Orange, #1 film of all time for me. #1, period, hands down. The next film that he did after that was Barry Lyndon in '75. It's a 4-year gap. That's pretty much the gap that he had between films, 4 or 5 years, something like that. After Barry Lyndon, he actually did The Shining. It's the other one that I want to talk about. The Shining. Oh my God. Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall. Holy crap. You cannot understand how amazing this film is. From all the little Easter eggs, as we call them now, that are in the film. Stanley Kubrick was actually rumored, and this is a huge conspiracy theory, so sorry if I burst your bubble or whatever. I'm a conspiracy theory nut, and I think this is one of the funnest ones. He was rumored to have actually shot the moon landing in a soundstage. And throughout The Shining, there's little catches of a glimpse of either a hint or a comedic relief, in the sense that he's just fucking with our minds, which is actually still pretty entertaining anyways. The little kid actually has a sweater with the Apollo that landed on the moon on the sweater. And throughout the film, there's various numbers and all that stuff that are supposed to be big hints at the moon landing and all that stuff. And I don't know if you could actually consider that or whatever, but it's entertaining nonetheless. The film, it makes you feel confused from the beginning. From the moment you walk into the hotel, the hotel is not real, and you could tell. There's these weird illusions that throw your eyes in weird places, like the what do you call it? The room where the what do you call it? The owner is staying at. The window goes to the hallway behind that room, and you're kind of confused. You're like, hold on a second. There's a hallway behind that. And you know that there's a hallway behind that because the scene with the tricycle starts with that, showing that room and going around. And the way that Stanley Kubrick actually keeps the geography of the hotel in place with Danny riding his tricycle and everything is very interesting. And the fact that he put that there on purpose to throw your mind off, and it's there for a reason. It has to be there for a reason, because he made such a point to show the geography of the hotel. Yet he throws that weird twist in there. And he throws little weird twists throughout the film. Like the fact that the hotel is shaped in a weird way that in the long shots it looks a different way than in the close-up shots. And there's little weird things that throw you off. The hedge maze. When you're viewing the hedge maze from above and it goes into the actual hedge maze, which that completely twists your mind around. Alright? I just, wow. Okay? That completely threw me off. And the performances. Jack Nicholson. Come on. Jack Nicholson. He is so over the top. It's so amazing that the way he acts in this film. He completely pulls off the psychopath. Completely pulls it off. Alright. Shelley Duvall was pushed by Stanley Kubrick. She was actually rumored to have been crying throughout the film because Stanley Kubrick pushed her so much and made her cry before it takes, just to push her to that edge where she needed to be for the film. And she's the weakest part of the film, yet she does a stand-up job in that performance. Stand-up job. And the tension building, the heartbeat, the blood in the what do you call it? The elevators. Oh man, that film just takes you there. Completely takes you there. Alright. The Shining. Definitely recommend this film. This is one of my top 10 favorite films of all time. I don't know exactly where to put it, but it is definitely one of my favorite horror films, if not my favorite horror film of all time. So, Stanley Kubrick. After this, he did Full Metal Jacket, and then Eyes Wide Shut. Okay, Eyes Wide Shut was his final film. A few months later, he actually passed away. Right, and Steven Spielberg decided to pick up the lost film that he was gonna do, which was AI, and that's just atrocious. And I will never forgive Spielberg for doing AI the way he did it. And I don't think Spielberg's been the same since then. I don't know if that's just my perception of him because of the fact that I love Stanley Kubrick so much, or that's just he lost his touch. He lost his mojo. Stanley Kubrick was the man. In my opinion, he is my favorite director, and I put him up there in the top 5 most influential directors of all time. Some segments that I want to do, and I'm probably going to go into a little further. There's first of all, there's a few more films that I want to review about him, but I want to use that actually throughout the regular episodes, and that's why I haven't mentioned them. And there are other favorite films of mine that I didn't mention of Stanley Kubrick. So, and we will go into those a lot more detail. These are 2 that I wanted to choose just off the bat because I love them so much, and just they're the ones that stood out to me the most. So I want to do a director series, right? Some of the directors that I want to go into is obviously Steven Spielberg, Stanley Kubrick. This is the episode for him, and Christopher Nolan is one of the most influential directors of this era. Definitely, hands down, he's becoming one of the, if not the most influential director of all time. James Cameron is up there as well. I think James Cameron has gone the way of Stanley Kubrick, but he's gone a different twist now with Avatar, and I don't like that. But please tell me, recommend to me which one you would actually want to see. James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, Christopher Nolan, or anybody else, really. Throw a director at me and I'll see. Whoever gets the most votes for Christmas, I will actually do that episode. Alright? And I'll see you in the next segment.
This question. Is this really what you want? Is this really how it goes? Is this ever gonna end? It's one thing you never know. And this could be the end. If you let it, this might be the end of everything we know. And this could be, this could be, this could be, this could be the
Hey guys, I'm back and I hope you guys like the feature artists of this week. They're a fantastic band, upcoming band, and I really want you guys to support these groups that I'm putting on here. Okay, I'm going out of my way to really look for fantastic artists. Okay, I'm gonna be coming up with a website soon so I can put the podcast on there and also link to the YouTube videos and just make it easier access for everybody to be able to look up. I should have that up and running no later than Christmas time. And of course I want to put the director series on this as well. Please comment below, share, pass this around, and I'll see you guys next week, and I promise next time we'll be with Brandon. Take care, bye.